Hi, everyone. I hope people are joining us, joining this interesting and useful discussion that we will have right now. And a little bit of introductions. So the technology, the IT industry plays a great role in the economic growth of Ukraine and of other Eurasian countries, bringing millions of dollars to the national budgets, creating thousands of high-paying jobs, and being a stable source of foreign exchange earnings. In many countries of Eurasia, including our country, Ukraine, the IT sector has become a mainstay of national economies. That is why keeping the IT sector in this region during the period of turmoil, at least partly operational, is proving to be even more important. This is the third month of Russian invasion, and since February, Ukraine is in war. So how is the IT industry in Eurasia responding to this black swan, and how are companies adapting to new realities? Companies and people as well. All these issues will be discussed at today's StrategEast.Live panel discussion under the title IT Industry in Eurasia During a Period of Turmoil. I'm Olga Afanasieva, the head of Kyiv branch of IT company Alex, as well as visiting professor of Kyiv School of Economics, and I will moderate this discussion. I'm currently finishing the program, which is called Sustainable Management, run by the Swedish Institute, and the Director General, Madeleine Sorsted, has said something that I would like to quote. She said that while you look around the world today, you realize that there is a need for more cooperation and more trust between countries, between individuals, and between organizations. And this is also something that we will touch during today's course of discussion. So let me start over by welcoming our distinguished panelists, diversified by their activities and geography they represent. Today, we will have a discussion with Artem Koncevoy, the CEO of Dev Media, with Emiliano Ramos, partner of Emerging Europe, with Tanat Uskembayev, Director of Corporate Innovations and Digital Competencies Offices at Astana Hub, and Konstantin Vasyuk, the Executive Director of IT Ukraine Association. We will have 1 hour. We will start with the brief presentations of our speakers, and then we will follow by discussion with the question that will pop up, and also a question that you, our audience, will ask. So feel free to write in the comment the question that are bothering you, that you would like to discuss and to address to all the panelists or to particular speakers that we have today. And I would like to start now with Artem Koncevoy, who is the CEO of Dev Media, and a little bit of representation. So Dev Media is the media company focused on tech industry in Eastern Europe. And our speaker, Tom, has background in both, in news media publishing, as well as in SaaS product development. He started Dev.by, the leading tech media in Belarus, and Dev.ua, the fast-growing player on Ukrainian market, as well as Space, the tech community hub and IT events organizer. I'm asking Artem to describe the changes in the Belarusian and Ukrainian IT landscape from the point of view of the independent IT journalist. Artem, welcome.
Okay. I hope you hear me well, and because I have some issues with my internet connection, I'm terribly sorry.
All is good.
It used to be good, but can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you well.
Okay, great. Like, sorry, one more time. Okay. Like from my perspective, as I can say, is that the market changed like since Russian invasion, like dramatically, and it's interesting to compare how Ukrainian IT industry goes when comparing with Belarus IT industry, because as we know, like from IT Ukraine Association data. Ukrainian IT sector, in terms of exporting IT services, shrinks in March comparing to February, like by 40%. like from almost $800 million to $500 million. And there is no data for April today, but if we take a look at the number of published jobs opening, it also decreased like 2 times, but it started to restore in April. So hopefully we can say that the fall stops and the markets became stable, and we can say that that it will stay stable during the wartime and quickly begin to restore when invasion ends. As for Belarus, it's a different situation. We don't have like any data for exports, like for comparing like IT services and telecom exports in February was $250 million in February. So we don't have any data for March and April, but if we look at number of published jobs in IT sector, it was on peak like in January. It was almost 13,000, and it dropped down dropped down in March. It was like 7,000 jobs opening, and it's continued to fall in April. It was 5,000. So it's not bottomed yet, and there is no sign that it will reach the bottom like anytime soon, because companies continue to close offices in Belarus, they relocate their employees to other countries, the sanctions works, and the market it's mostly Western oriented. So I can say that the market can stabilize itself and or even like stop the fall in the nearest future. So,
thank you for sharing, Artem. We will discuss some of the points that you've touched today. Emiliana, you are the partner at Emerging Europe, a mission-driven growth hub that is based in London. So we're, virtually transferring to the United Kingdom. And within your professional experience with Emerging Europe, you focus on developing partnerships and expanding the company's client base. You manage accounts of key clients and co-develop programs and publications that are run by the Emerging Europe. You're also a lead of the Tech Emerging Europe Advocates Network, part of the 25,000 member global tech advocates. You have an extensive experience of working in international environments, nurturing client relationships in over 25 countries. And with this war in Ukraine, you have this, opportunity to extend your experience even, like wider in different directions. Well, unfortunately or fortunately. And can you tell more about your effort to support Ukraine's tech ecosystem, which you call Tech for Ukraine initiative?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you, Olga. So as a bit of a background, Emerging Europe, as you said, we are a mission-driven enterprise, and our mission is to foster growth in the region that we define as Emerging Europe. And we see 3 main areas as the drivers of this growth. So that's sustainability, entrepreneurship, and innovation. And for us, the innovation part is very important because it helps change the image of the region. Because historically, it's been known for being a place to outsource cheaply. And we know that that's far from the truth already. We're talking about well-paid jobs, high skills. It's really a partner for the world, not just a place to do simple tasks. So that's why we foster this industry quite strongly. And that's also why we run the Tech Emerging Europe Advocates community, which is part of a global network of 25,000 tech leaders. This was founded by Russ Shaw, who is a co-founder of London Tech Week. And within Tech Emerging Europe Advocates, we also discuss Central Asia. So we're expanding that a bit further. We are also publishers. We have the Emerging Europe Analysis and News site, which before the war we were reaching about 2 million readers a year, and that audience doubled in March because of, well, people wanted to know what's happening and be informed about Ukraine. As a bit of a background, we were going to launch the Ukraine chapter of the Emerging Europe Advocates in Kiev on the first days of March. We were flying on the 28th of February, but of course that didn't happen. And the reason is that we were going to do a program about digital Ukraine, because again, it was going to be in partnership with Ukrainian companies. But of course, with the war, that changed, but it also made us more determined to keep talking about it and to raising awareness. So that's why we launched the Support Digital Ukraine initiative, which has three main goals. So the first one is to strengthen the image of Ukraine as a country that has great tech capabilities. The other one, which in my opinion is the most important, which is to restore trust amongst international buyers and investors, because that has taken a hit. And the third one is to be in touch with media across the world constantly. So like we've been speaking with Forbes and other media to help them understand what is happening. We chose to focus on tech because there's a lot of need for humanitarian support, but there's also a lot of actors already doing that. And we wanted to do something that we are well positioned to doing, which is focusing on tech, because that's the interest of our audience and community as well. Now, we see that there are some constraints when it comes to people's ideas of how capable Ukraine still is. Like we were talking last week to a global site selection expert, so people who are recommending where to invest to specific companies, and we heard from them that, well, the Ukrainian sector in his view is almost finished, and we were like, this is not true. And we were talking about like how we've been in touch with so many people and how people are just delivering, of course, let's say to 75-80% capacity, but they are. And at the end, he was like, well, yeah, that's really an eye opener, because for me, my view was much grimmer than that is. And we've also been talking to tech companies from Ukraine, and we hear that, yes, we're getting a lot of visibility, but at times the media is to focus on, are you working from bunkers? How many people have you had to let go, and so on. The focus is quite negative, and it's a bit sensationalist, if you like. And there is a lot that is good that is happening, and we want to focus on that to show what is being done. So in that sense, the initiative is in collaboration with IT Ukraine, so Konstantin here, with the Ministries of Foreign Affairs, Digital Transformation, Tech Ukraine, the Ukraine Startup Fund, EASE in Unit City, and these are local partners who are also feeding us with information, who are helping us understand what is happening, so that we can also produce content and translate that to our audience. We also see that part of the project is also to have a resource hub. So like if you go to Emerging Europe, you will see on the main page a banner to go to the microsite. And there is a resource banner, a resource hub, where you have multiple initiatives in Ukraine and across the world that are linked to tech. So like from Google, from ministries, from other companies to really support the country. And we are also looking to gather testimonials from buyers who keep working with Ukraine and why they keep doing so. But we see that that's not being so straightforward, because they are also, let's say, they keep working with Ukraine, but they don't want to flaunt it. Like they don't want to say, because, well, they have clients who might be what would the good word be here? Who have a certain fear that, well, my project is being run with companies from Ukraine as well. So it's a tricky situation in that sense. But we think that there is a lot of potential, and this is going to be the sector that is going to drive recovery as we see it, because it's very resilient. You have a lot of companies that are doing operations elsewhere. Olga, you're an example. You're running like Alex activities from Italy right now. We have like Sigma Software. They have set facilities elsewhere as well. People are working from different places, but they are delivering. They are helping with their communities, but also delivering what they are expected to. So it's something we need to keep talking about, because this can't let's say fall into obscurity or be overshadowed by other things.
Yeah, that's totally true. Thank you for sharing, Emiliano. And let's time travel to another country, to Kazakhstan. We have Tanat with us, who is the Director of Corporate Innovations and Digital Competencies Office in Astana Hub. Tanat oversees Astana Hub's work in three major areas. On one hand, it is building mutually beneficial relationships with corporate partners. On the other hand, this is building of dialogue between corporate and IT market for discussing challenging issues. And we know that this dialogue is very important. And last but not least, he's developing new industrial direction as 5G, blockchain, meta, and space tech centers to develop startups in these spheres. Being one of the Astana Hub founding team members in 2018, Tanat took part in the creation of the first launching programs of Astana Hub for the development of the startup ecosystem in Kazakhstan, which includes incubation and acceleration programs, startup school, and school of trackers, and many others that were already successfully launched. And at the beginning of 2021, with an account of COVID-19 challenges, Tanat made a contribution of laying down a new development strategy of Astana Hub 2.0. So considering this, Tanat, can you please describe the changes in the Kazakh IT industry, which you are experiencing today, maybe even after this the strategy of 2021, please?
So regarding our IT market, and due to current situation in Ukraine, so I cannot say that something has changed dramatically in our country, because as you know, our IT ecosystem is in the development stage, and we are not so much integrated with the international market. Also, it seems that our local IT companies trying to hunt or catch some professionals who start to relocate due to the war, and also I can say that it led to the competition in the labor market in Kazakhstan, and IT companies start to have I think more choices among specialists. So our country is putting big interest on the development of our ecosystem. So we are launching the new programs, which is aimed to raise new IT professionals. So we recently started a big program called Tech Orda, which the main objective is to educate among 100,000 IT specialists by the year of 2025. So to do this, we work closely with the private IT schools, and we give them some subsidies to support it. So also we are trying to reach new markets for our IT companies, because our big IT companies tend to work within the country, and they tend to work and have some local, how to say, orders from the government. But the situation is changing. We, as a country, we are thinking of the new approach for the development of IT systems among government agencies. So and the companies now focusing on other markets. So what else can I say? I think that's it. maybe you have some more questions.
Just maybe like small additional question. When the war in Ukraine started, I saw like a lot of encouragements for Ukrainian startups to join Astana hub in particular, and to move to Kazakhstan like temporarily to work. So maybe you have some information about that. Are there many Ukrainian companies came there? Mm-hmm.
Yes. So when we first launched it, we positioned us like the Astana Hub's international tech park. So we have created all these good conditions for the work of the international companies. So we have simplified visa regime. Also, we have good tax regime preference. So our IT companies who is registered in Astana Hub, they pay no taxes. So, but as a contract obligation, they pay 1% from their income. So, and we we didn't. How to say? We didn't make some marketing campaigns that please go and relocate. So I think it's not so appropriate when you say send this kind of messages. So because someone will think that we are how to say, use this situation to hunt IT companies. But we are saying that we are open. Please come, join us. We can provide working spaces. We can help you with visa. We can find you to maybe meet from the airport and give free working spaces in our Technopark. So I cannot specify special names of IT companies that want to relocate, but I think there are a few companies.
Mm-hmm.
I think they, as Ukraine is more to Europe, they tend to consider other countries like Poland, Lithuania, and others.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Danat. We will return to the discussions after the next speaker, who is Konstantin Vasyuk. He's the Executive Director of IT Ukraine Association. Konstantin has more than 10 years experience in IT sector and telecom. Since April 2019, Konstantin has been developing the Ukrainian IT industry as the director of the IT Ukraine Association, the largest one of the tech industry in Ukraine. And prior to heading the IT Ukraine Association, he held the position of director of public projects at the IT company Itera Ukraine. And he was also the chair, the head of IT committee of European Business Association for more than 5 years. And recently, IT Ukraine Association, together under the lead of Konstantin, has published very interesting data regarding like how the IT industry is keep developing and actually keep growing, even in this difficult conditions of war. Konstantin, if you could share with us some data and some of your observations, it would be fantastic. And you have the right for the presentation sharing. Right?
Thank you, Olga. Thank you very much for intro, and hi to everyone. Really, we live in the day number 82 of this war, and you know, this war changes and changed everything in our country, and it was and remains the main challenge for all the businesses as well, not only by just ordinary life, but the business as well. So we like from the first day, our industry, we faced this tragedy, we faced these risks, and we have overcome to this time. We shown resilience, and I will show up some figures regarding how we work now, how business works, and what is what is our expectations and our maybe forecasts regarding to the survival of IT industry, and not even survival, but the impact which we possibly do in the future when the war is over and economy will be so this will be renewed. And let's go to the figures, because it's the best way to show what is going on now. So we have before war we have such a level of development, I mean 6.8 billion exports, and growth up to 30% by year to year. We now have 285,000 IT professionals, and mostly now people relocated. I mean, about 16% of these people relocated to abroad, and but mostly people work from territory of Ukraine, from the safer parts of Ukraine. And really, it's impressive $2 billion export in the first quarter, including 1 month of the war. And again, it was a record of export, $800 million for the February. In comparison to previous year, you see this huge gap ahead. So of course we have some decreasing, but we kept 95% of our contracts. I think it's impressive, just impressive, because nobody believed that we will stand and it will be like this. So still business reported 95% of contracts, they exist and they still delivering services. I mean, our companies, and it's good news. And again, the productivity of the people very high as well. Unless the people works and fights for different fronts, up to 5% of IT people fight on the front with enemy. Also on cyber front and cyber security projects, and mostly, as I told you, it's daily routine, daily work, but mostly people work and fight for economy and to keep economy of the Ukraine. And they volunteers, they have collected some and gathered some donation projects, etc., etc. So we are highly involved. Like social impact of IT industry is very important in this time. So I will not show you a lot of things, but for example, there are figures from the companies which took part in our survey, but it's about you see this millions of dollars, but we can easily say that at least it should be doubled, yeah, because a lot of companies just not participated in this survey. But each day we donated, we paid taxes in advance, we buy some equipment and supply it directly to the troops and to our armed forces. And of course, for example, you see these figures, it's except money. Yeah, it's not calculated in the value of money, it's just calculated in the value of just bulletproof vests, helmets, you see other things. And this helps us to make our victory closer, and it helps to motivate people because they feel the importance to be a part of this fight, to be a part of fight for our freedom, for our victory. So, and this is high motivation. This high motivation again reflected in the more than 96% reported from the company motivation and efficiency of the IT teams. 95 plus. It's again, it's unbelievable. So, and of course we have regarding business, you see that half of the companies have 100% contracts, and just a bit lower percentage for 32% of companies. But in general, pictures looks very well. And only 5% of respondents they drop down. Still, we, like on the platform of IT Ukraine Association, we help them, we support them, and try to provide them additional contacts, additional B2B contacts and opportunities with new customers. So, and again, when we speak to the world, when we speak about how to support our industry, maybe Ukraine, we just say, guys, let's keep on doing business with us. let's stop business with Russia, of course, and let's make this trust to Ukrainian development centers and companies much more higher, because we have proved our resilience. So basically, of course, about relocation, it's also an interesting slide. You see the top countries where we relocated our people at the time of war. Mostly, it's of course some relocations were made before the war according to business continuity plans. Some relocations were made for women and children, yeah, and IT people, because 27% people in IT are women. 27%. It's again, it's a good figure, and it's growing. It's constantly growing, and a lot of companies thinking about opening new offices in these countries as well. You see, again, Poland, Romania, Spain, Bulgaria, Portugal, etc. It shows again the flexibility and adaptivity, high adaptivity of the business, of tech business, and in particular Ukrainian tech business. So we have this situation, so we should somehow mitigate and manage these risks. So in general, what I should say that we have like quite, let's say, optimistic view on this, but in case no additional escalation or some harmful some harmful things like to the infrastructure, yeah, we will keep this productivity, we will keep this level of doing business on a high level, and keep on supporting the economy of Ukraine. Of course, we have several open issues and on the government relation level and on the level of things we do not, how to say, got influence on. Yeah, but still we do the most important steps we did already. Our companies took care about their people, took care about the experts, their families. They supported in the very, very first days, from the very first days, and they built this, not build, but they improved this trust and corporate trust, people and companies. So I mean, our market much more consolidated now. Of course, we have a lot of challenges, and we will have in the future, but we are quite sure that we will overcome these challenges. So, and the experience, what is also maybe important to say, that the experience, unique experience of Ukrainian business, tech business, can be taken into consideration by other countries, European countries as well. And we have good, how to say, we took this lesson well, and now we were prepared. By the way, we have these figures now because we were very good prepared before the war. So we are ready, we are open for collaboration, we are open for developing our, let's say, strong expertise. And maybe, of course, we again say, guys, stand with Ukraine, just keep on doing business with Ukrainian developers, and together we will overcome this crisis.
True. Thank you, Konstantin. There is a comment in the chat. I was told that the insight that you provided are very valuable, and I put, for now, a virtual like to this comment, and then I will
yes,
put
and a lot of things you can find, by the way, please come to our webpage and ITUkraine.org.ua. You'll find other reports, and of course you will find all information you need to know about Ukrainian tech companies, tech ecosystems. Please welcome, and directly you can also contact us or my team. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very important work you're doing, as actually all the organizations that are today on our panel discussion. And my first question to you all, like we briefly already, of course, touched this topic, that, you know, how is it running a business under the shadow, or not even the shadow, but like the real war? But like maybe some of examples how IT companies and how your company adapted and is adapting your operations to this new reality that is happening here for 3 months. Someone like to share?
So I think previously I uncovered this question I think the more important here that for our country is that it's low competition maybe from Russian companies, because it's it is good for our IT companies to have, I think, more clients, because international companies that were using their services start to think in other countries. So it's a good opportunity for Kazakh IT companies to work on the export activities, because Konstantin showed that very fantastic figures about the export activities in Ukraine, but unfortunately we do not have such figures. So the last year we had only $100 million of export. So the main objective is here in our country, and which was set from our ministry, the president, is to reach the figure of $500 million of dollars. The export figures should be $500 million in 2025. So now we are working on towards these figures, how to reach it, doing some extra activities, and helping our local IT companies to work with international clients. So I think, Olga, we used to work with you the last year, or no? I don't remember that you were helping us in getting some investments.
Yes, I was visiting some of your conferences in Astana Hub, and also had the 3 batches of business angels who finished my school for investors. Thank you for your comments, Tanat. Maybe someone wants to step in and add something about adaptation to the new reality. When did it start? Okay, so let's move further. Konstantin have showed in the presentation that there is like a little bit more than half of the companies, 52% if I'm not mistaken, that have capped 100% of the contracts with their existing clients. But we all understand that it is challenging. Like for me, I'm Ukrainian. Yeah, like for me as Ukrainian, like there is one vision of what is happening with the war and how Ukraine is adapting, and what is the condition, and that I'm able to work, and other people are also able to work. But for the international, from the international perspective, from the perspective of our clients, the picture is slightly different, or maybe even totally different. So can you share, like some insights, some your thoughts and advices on how to keep the contracts with the international clients and stay a trusted supplier of IT services? And the word trust is something that was a key in my presentation, in my representation at the beginning, and in the speech of Emiliano. Yeah, it's like the trust is the key for keeping the business alive. So how to keep the contracts, and how to expand the contracts with the international clients?
So maybe I will comment, Olga, for this, because it's very simple. First, of course, you should speak with customers. You should talk, and you should update them about current situation absolutely transparently and fair. So we are not making like these figures for advertising of the industry. We just took the information, from the companies. Of course, some of them have troubles, of course, but it's connected to the level of their maturity as a simple thing, because customers, corporate and enterprise customers, they have their procedures and risk management schemes, etc., and they should apply these schemes. Maybe in some period of time, we will see changes in this level of keeping contracts from the, we should divide it for the enterprise customers, middle customers, smaller ones. But for middle and smaller customers, working with Ukraine now, it's a good opportunity, because we have competitive pricing. We have very high quality of delivery, and we have a lot of other things, cultural similarity, etc., etc. And this is competitive advantages, of course, and they are not cancelled just by the fact that we have war with Russia, because we have, thanks to God, we have 600,000 square kilometers of the territory of Ukraine. Yeah, we have huge regions, much safer, and I think it's a good chance to keep business relations. But again, we should have BCP/2 ready. We should have other communications and open communications with the customers. We should have by Ukraine and development centers only Ukraine. We have some people around. So I mean, in general, we should speak to customer first. Second, we should be very fast in updates and very fast in some flexibility, to apply this flexibility on the business projects in regards to keep customers safe from their perspective, like business perspective. Of course, we have now very good support, very high level of support due to the situation in general, because a lot of customers have the same values, human values, you know, and they're ready to support. Of course, it will not last forever, but unless we will produce, now we just have this magic, yeah, because a lot of people thought that 1 month and it will stop, yeah, but I mean, our business will stop, but no. So this is a good chance to prove our credibility, our customers, but we should talk to them, we should inform them and keep on informing about real situation. And of course, providing some BCP/2 in case we have some negative sequences here. Okay.
Thank you, Konstantin. Emiliano, it would be interesting also to listen from your perspective. You're working with Ukrainian companies, but you're not in Ukrainian. So, you know, is the other angle, which is very valuable for our understanding as well.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to everything that is happening, and we cannot compare the impact that this has on companies outside Ukraine and for those that are inside. But of course, there's a supply chain, it's a global economy, right? So it affects that. We see our partners, our clients as well, who are putting things on hold. Like, well, we don't know what it will look like for this conference that we're planning for August, or like, for example, clients in Poland or Romania. There is this uncertainty that is there. So we see it. It is not affecting too much, but we see that people are being quite careful when it comes to planning their next steps, and they're focusing more on essential activities. And I think that going back to what Konstantin mentioned, all this, as awful as it is, I think it has built a brand for Ukraine that the value of this is like, you can't measure that. It's just so impressive that everybody knows Ukraine now. Everybody admires it, respects it. The people, the economy, like Konstantin said, like a month of people didn't think that it would be here anymore, right? Like you wouldn't be able to work anymore, and you are, and people are just so amazed by it. And I think that this, in the recovery process as well, it will play a huge role, because people are actively wanting to support and knowing what you're capable of.
Thank you for sharing. That's true. Like Ukraine is famous all over the world, but not in the way we probably were, you know, expected it. But we have what we have, as they say. Okay, maybe someone wants to add something before I jump into another question. Great. I have a question for myself. So this is 2022. Yeah, like I'm working in IT company now, but previously to it, I spent my last 7 years as the CEO of Ukrainian Venture Capital Association, and we started in 2014 when the situation was not in such scale, but there was also the start of the war. We had the situation with Crimea, and actually this was the push to create the organization. So at that time, like from 2014 till I don't know, like recent years to 2018 and so on, it was very difficult task to speak with foreign investors and to explain that there is like at certain point, the majority of the territory of Ukraine was calm and is fine to come and to do business with our companies, to invest in our startups, in our tech companies. So it was like a huge educational work that has been done, not only by us, but by our members, by our partners, by tech companies as well. And it took some time, like it took like a lot of time and a lot of efforts. How do you think will happen like now when the war will, come down? I believe that it will end, well, hopefully soon, but at a certain point. And will but there is a risk that it will not happen, like overnight. So will it be more challenging than after 2014 events to educate our partners, to educate the rest of the world that it is becoming safe to return to Ukraine, like, for people, for humans, but also for businesses? Or so it will be a harder, job, or it will be more easy because the world knows more. There is definitely much more publicity, and there is much more change happened between 2014 and 2022 when the war started this year. Do you have any thoughts regarding this?
Well, I think that, as you pointed, there is much more awareness now, and compared to 2014, the level of understanding in the international community of what Ukraine is, where the regions are, and so on. Like, I remember that we talk at conferences on a weekly basis, and we mention Ukraine quite often. And back then, when we had the conflict in the east, and we're saying, like, listen, if you look at Lviv, it is equally distant from Frankfurt, Copenhagen, and it is from the east of Ukraine. It is just so far, and people don't have that understanding, or didn't have it back then. So all this discussion has also increased people's awareness of what the country is like, where the regions are, what is safe, what is not, and I think that there will be a combination of way more awareness, understanding, an international drive to rebuild the country that I think it will speed things up when it comes to getting back in track. That's how I see it.
Yeah, thank you for the comment. Artem, what about you? What do you think? You're in media, but also have a tech background. What are your thoughts regarding this? Did you return to the business as usual?
Yeah, just like my main thought that one of the reason why Ukrainian IT industry became not fragile as it could be, it was like pandemic, because everyone is remote and people work from different countries, and it's not like you have you're not tied to location as strong as you used to be.
Yeah, pandemic was a nice warm up before working in the work conditions.
Yeah.
Artem, do we have you or we lost you? I think we lost Artem. Emiliano, would you like to add something?
No, I think just building up on what Achin said, that it was a good warm up, but also it built this trust that work can be done remotely and it can be done well. So, and again, that's why the IT industry is so well positioned to be the driver of recovery, because that's the nature of the business, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I think we lost Artem, but I hope he will return. So as we mentioned, pandemics already, yeah, like there was one shock, like one black swan, then we have the war, the other black swan. Okay, nobody knows what will come next. I hope the like aliens or some other stuff will not happen to our countries and to our planet in general. But this is the good point to like to think about what has happened and what is happening, and to make some conclusions for ourselves, for our industry, like for ourselves, I mean for organizations, and also for the industry in general. Like what can be done in the other way? Like what can we do to be prepared for such large scale shocks of any character that can happen? Like of course we cannot be 100% prepared, because we don't know the details, and the devils is particularly in those details. But in general, like what can we do to increase the level of resilience of the IT industry to large scale shocks? And I see Konstantin wants to add to that.
So maybe when this war will stop and everything will finish, I mean, we will make some guidance because we already done a lot of things. I mean that this shock is very huge and we have overcome. I mean it's not like a structure now, but I mean that first thing we should always have exact crisis plan. Yeah, we should have exact plan what to do. Each people should know what to do, because we met a lot of situations when people have got instructed exactly, they got exactly instructed, what to do. It's very simple, but in some circumstances you should take this checklist and go through it, in order to keep even life. The same with the business. We should have exact guidebook what to do in such situation. But in general, as we have the value of the industry is talents and people, we should pay a lot and most attention to the safety, to the access to internet access, and we should have exactly security issues solved with the data, with everything. So this is three things, and maybe we can improve it somehow. But in general, this is the most important things which we see now, at least.
Thank you. Would you like to add something?
Nothing to add, but I think that for IT companies across the world, like look at Ukraine and what they're doing in terms of contingency, and then enough planning and being ready for things, because the results are there. So it's really a great example of how we should be ready for things.
Yeah, it's important to have a plan for in critical situation, not to follow it because everything is on fire. Well, I'm joking, but it's really important to have some plan.
And the bravery itself, this to be brave is important, not to afraid to do something. Yes.
Yeah, both things. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not so sure you can prepare for that, but you have to at times go through things to see how brave you are, right?
Yeah. Tanat, would you like to add something?
So about the preparedness for the kind of situation. So from our side, I can say that as you know, in January this year, we had terrible situation in our country that if you heard about it, so some demonstrations were in our cities like Almaty, and so we had a terrible situation, and the internet was just cut down. I don't know how to say, and it was very how to say, big trouble for the IT companies, because we didn't have internet connections, we couldn't send the money and withdraw the cash from the. So I think the government should, I think, prepare kind of plan B for this kind of situations, and they have some list of companies that can use internet, maybe, because if we say about IT companies, especially outsourcing companies, they should have the access for the internet, because in order to maintain the contract and keep in touch with their clients. So it's from our perspective. It was very terrible and very scary for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we all remember that. Thank you for commenting on that. So, well, we could go on a lot of time, but there is a lot of issues there, and there is not so much time, and we are finalizing, like trying to summarize. I again would like to, like highlight these keywords of today's communication, like our lessons from the from war, from pandemics, and from the reactions of the IT industry to what is happening with the Russian invasion, and like. To highlight, I would like to mention again the connection, like in terms of both like internet connection and connectedness of our people with clients and people to people, as well as a connection as communication. Yeah, like the importance of communication, to speaking up, explaining, and explaining promptly. Yeah, like to be fast in what's going on, and updating all your stakeholders, like inside of the company and outside of the company. The next important factor is planning. Even if we don't, if we will not use our plan for 100%, we will be prepared and we will be more calm inside. And bravery. Without the bravery, we probably could not stand, and IT industry in particular could maybe not stand. Like we never know. And the other thing that is, crossing all these events is the trust. That is very important in order to build the resilient IT industry, the resilient country, and great connections and integration into the global processes. And as we have 3 minutes, I would like to give you an opportunity to or recommend a book that you would like all people to read, well, all majority of people who listen to us to read, or some tagline, the final thing that you'd like to say but didn't have an opportunity. I prefer the book, but you can choose.
So maybe I will start. So I can, of course, I can recommend a lot of books, but frankly speaking, during this wartime, I tried several times to start reading books. So not yet succeeded. I don't know why, but that's why maybe I have another recommendation. I'd recommend to look at the things from the other point, because we now what we are doing now is very important, but most important things what we should have started doing at least as war will stop. Because it's the same shock will be, because now we have one shock when we come into the war, and the second shock will be when we will be out of this. And it's not obviously now, but it will be like this. It's a law. That's why maybe my recommendation to make a plan what you will do after the war.
Very important advice, Konstantin. Thank you. Can totally relate. Emiliano, Artem, Tanat, your final recommendation?
I don't have a specific book or anything, but I think topic-wise, I really like to read about the power of the mind and of visualizing things as you want them to be, and being able to not focus on what you currently have, because that might also discourage you. But like, where do I want to be, and see that as your present. And like, so it's podcasts, it's books. There's a number of things that revolve around that, and I think it's really important in this situation that you really can see beyond what is happening and focus on where or what you want to build or rebuild.
Yeah, cannot agree more with that. Thank you for highlighting this important point too. Artem, Tanat?
So I can say that I cannot recommend a book. I don't know what to recommend because it's only related for the startups, I think, because I work a lot with them. But I want to say for everyone that we are open for any forms of cooperation, and if you need some help from our side, from our tech part, you're welcome. So I think this is my final speech.
Thank you. Noted. And
Yeah, yes, I'm only one left. So I'm afraid that I'll be out because of internet connection. Like, sorry one more time, but I also haven't read any books like for the last 3 months. So, something happened, and I just said
what?
I just said that like I believe that future is bright and good if you are on the right side of the history. So Ukraine on the right side of history. So I think that industry will sustain and grow, and that's all.
Yeah, amen. We're all in that. Thank you to everyone for the discussion. I hope our audience found something that, like, will inspire and change the normal course into something like even more positive, but not COVID positive, because let's not forget about it, by the way, because I got COVID for the first time in my life. Not very happy about that. So don't do like me, and be just, with positive thinking, make plans for after the war, look for the opportunities, how to support. And here my colleagues shared the opportunities how to support Ukraine, how to support the industry. So follow the speakers, and let's build together the great IT community and the better society, and increase the trust between people, between organizations, and between countries. Have a good day. Thank you for the discussion.
Thank you, Olga. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Olga.